Hi, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Wouldn't It Be Fun? I'm Amy Snell. You can find me here on Zoom and YouTube Live the first Friday of every month at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter as @Devious Knitter or on my blog at deviousknitter.com. I am excited this month to welcome my guests, Duane and Josh, the Louisiana Yarn Guys. They're a small batch independent yarn dyer based in Shreveport, Louisiana. Duane, Josh, and I met last summer when they were showing their yarn and I was teaching at the debut Fiber World show. Welcome, guys.
Hi, how are y'all?
We're doing great. Thanks for joining us. I know you're on the road, so I know that you're doing your best to, and I was just so grateful that you could be here with us.
Definitely.
So you guys have been dyeing some really fabulous yarn that I absolutely love. And I was hoping that you could tell us how you got started in the dyeing business.
We actually got started in the dyeing business at the beginning of the pandemic. We both had wanted to dye for a long time. We both are actually knitters. I'm a weaver. Joshua crochets. So we have background in knitting. One of the ways we got started in dyeing was at the very beginning of the pandemic. Joshua was laid off, and I'm always working from home. I'm disabled, so we just dove straight in and started dyeing. We didn't just start off small. We went all in. We decided once we started that we would carry animal fibers only. We would not do cotton. It's just one of those things that we've always wanted to do. So we saw the need, we had the time, and we went all in.
You really did. I absolutely was amazed at how much range you had, how many different fibers you were doing, and how you jumped into this national festival scene. I felt like last summer's Fiber World was kind of a really big opportunity for a lot of people who, it was one of the early online virtual festivals, and there were a lot of people that were just getting started, and they were really open to having new people come in and new vendors come in. And I think you told me at the time that that was your first festival. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. That was our first festival, and we actually found out about the festival from a friend of ours. She's a 70-year-old woman that we had knit with for quite a long time. In fact, ever since I moved to Shreveport, I've been knitting with her and became very good friends. And I think my Zoom window has frozen up. I'm going to leave. I'm still connected to the audio, but
yeah, we can still hear you just fine.
Okay. And so she told us, there is going to be a fiber festival, and it is going to be online. So we were very interested, and we just dove head first.
Yeah, and
we were ready to do it.
So previous to that, you had done some regional festivals. Is that right?
We had actually we did markets. We haven't done a festival in person yet. We're actually hoping to do our first in-person festival in November with East Texas Fiber Festival. They just decided this week that it is going to be an in-person, and they haven't even opened up the floor for applications yet. So we're very excited about that. But Fiber World was our very first online fiber festival and our first fiber festival altogether. The markets that we do, we actually go to like farmers markets. They have a night market here where there are like 150 vendors, and there are craft vendors, there's food vendors, all sorts of different things like that. So it was, you know, our very first of all fiber festivals, and we were amazed at it.
It was
And go ahead.
Oh, I thought it was a remarkable event.
Oh, it was. You know, especially being our first, we were so excited about it. It was amazing for us.
Yeah, I had so much fun. I met you guys there. I met Lakeisha of Sassy Black Yarns there, and I reconnected. I had met Erin from Morehouse Farms a couple years previously, and the four of us kind of did this little sock collaborative because I was teaching a lot of sock classes, and you guys and Lakeisha dye sock yarns, and Erin was providing needles to my students. And then we had so much fun. We did a whole little recorded Zoom thing that I remember we broadcast during the show. And I remember, you know, we had those late night pajama parties, which I'm hoping we're going to have again this upcoming Fiber World in July, right? I think we have some fun things planned again.
Yes, definitely. There's going to be that, of course, and I am doing 2 demos. One is going to be a dyeing demo where we take suggestions and then just running through the dyeing process for animal fibers. Then, let's see, Joshua is teaching interlock, so that should be a lot of fun as well.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And I'm sorry Joshua's not here with us today. He's not feeling too great, so he really hates he had to miss it, but
we're sorry we missed him too. And I really appreciate that you made it here, Duane. I know you guys are on the road and you made a big effort to be here. And I know we're all really grateful to get to talk to you and hear your stories. I love that we're going to get to see you dyeing live at Fiber World. And I absolutely love this idea that you're going to have, you know, input from the audience on your dyeing. I want to ask you a question about your dyeing. Now, I think you've told me before that the two of you have very different personalities when it comes to your dyeing and what you like to dye. Is that right?
Most definitely. We have a recipe book, and every colorway that we have or that we design is put into the recipe book. When it comes to solids and tonals, we dye the same. But when it comes to variegated, any of our multiple colorways, Joshua has a very structured dye. He hand paints a little differently than I do. Most of the time he does gradients, but he also does large color blocks for his dyeing. I am more of a free art. Definitely it's one of those that it's out there. I just design based on what I feel like the colors should look at. And oddly enough, I can recreate all of my colorways. So can Joshua, but it's one of those where the colors just come out. I don't know how to describe that. It's almost like painting a portrait. I'm very fly by the seat of my pants. I do a freehand. I use large stripes of color. It is one of those things that when you create from that, it makes a big picture. And the colorways that we have 32 variegated colorways at the moment. And we are actually looking in the near future to create some different types of colorways. We are going to start using one main color and then having naked fiber on the other end, but speckled a little bit. So that is a project we're working on at the moment.
I look forward to seeing that. I absolutely love your yarns, and I totally get what you're saying about, you know, the your colors are very memorable. That's what I find. You know, so I have to ask, I absolutely have to ask, which one of you did the dyeing for my namesake colorway? I want to bring everybody up to speed if they don't know the story of this yarn. This is my yarn. It was inspired by a photo I posted from 2 years ago. My hair was all of these colors. I had what I was calling mermaid hair, and it was sort of turquoise and blue, and sort of a variegated turquoise and blue all up through the top, and it blended down into this beautiful deep purple at the bottom. And the guys saw it on my Instagram and said, "Oh, we love those colors, and we want to do a colorway inspired by your hair." So I was so excited about that, and we emailed back and forth, and I sent them all the pictures I had from when I'd done my hair this way. And then a couple weeks later in the mail, here comes this beautiful skein of yarn, which I'm going to be very excited to wind off now that we're done with the podcast. I wanted you all to see it in skein form because I think it's just so gorgeous that you have to appreciate the different colors as they show here, because they don't always show as well when they're wound. But they're going to show great once I knit them up, which I'm super excited to do. And there'll be a project and a design coming based on this. But to get back to my question, who was responsible for dyeing this?
That would be me. If you, and actually take it, take the little band off and open it up. That way you can see the actual colors, the way it is laid out.
I'm going to open this up under my other camera so we can get a good close up, but we won't get to see the whole skein all at once maybe. So tell me if you want me to move it in a different way, or I can hold it up to the other camera if that's better. Boy, you really do see how the colors move through the skein. Oh, Duane, we lost you. You're mute. Let me see if I can get you. There you go. You're unmuted now.
So that skein of yarn, the way I designed it, Amy, do you have a picture of you with your hair?
That's going to take me a minute, but I can pull it up and share it. Give me a moment on that. Well, maybe while you talk, I'll find it.
So the picture that Amy showed, I think you posted it on Instagram.
I did, yeah.
I loved the colors. To me, it looks sort of mermaidish, which is where the name comes from.
Yeah, and that was my intention when I did that. I said I want mermaid hair.
And it was beautiful. I love the colors. I always have. I love the blues, the purples, the teals. They've always been my favorite colors. So where it came to, and I'm trying to get there we go. Instead of making everybody sick from floating everywhere. The colors were amazing to me, especially the blue. There were several different shades of blue, which is something that I wanted to capture in the colorway. And it's just absolutely a beautiful colorway. And the picture, when she brings it up, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, here it is.
There we go. And I could see under the bottom, there was a touch of purple, and it's hidden there a little bit, but you could see it. It comes out. It almost reminds me of peacock also.
Um, but the blue, there were so many different shades of blue that I wanted to capture that and show those as the main color. So when I designed the colorway, I actually used 4 different shades of blue. One, it's actually 2 different colorways of blue dyes, and they're different depths of shade, which makes it lighter or darker. So then at the other end is the teal, which the teal that we use for this is actually a mallard green, because it was the closest to it that I could find. And if you look at the picture up close, when I saw the different photos of the hair, it was absolutely beautiful. You could see a touch of the green at the very front. And as you can see on the picture, on what Amy's showing right now, all the different shades of blue.
Yeah, you really can. There are really clearly different shades in there, different blues.
And then the purple, that purple was so just perfect with the blues. It blends in perfectly. So the blue is the main focus. The purple was a little bit in the middle. And the way I dyed this, I actually did this in a dye pan. You lay it out flat, and then I put purple in the very center. So if you line the purples up, that's actually how I dyed it in the dye pan there. The teal on both ends, the blues in the middle, the main portion of the yarn, and then the purple in the very center. So it actually just, it made my day whenever I started that and finished. I was like, this is it. That's it.
Oh, I was so excited when you sent me that picture. It was still on the drying rack, and I said, yes, those are all my favorite colors.
And it's not really often that it works the first try, but this one, it was it. I mean, I messaged Joshua and sent him pictures before I sent you pictures. I was like, look at this. Oh my God. And that's one of the things with dyeing. I get excited about dyeing. Things that inspire me for colorways, it could be a sunset, it could be sunrise. Different things in nature catch my eye. Your hair, it was beautiful. I love the colors, those rich, luscious colors that jump out at you. They're just amazing. So that's where a lot of our inspiration comes from. We have the different seasons. We have 2 Christmas colorways. 2 Christmas colorways, and all of our colorways are available on all of our bases. So anytime we get a new base in, all of the colorways just automatically can be applied to them.
And you have a really great range of bases. I know this skein that I have right now, this is on your Treme sock, which is just one of my favorite sock yarns. It's a superwash merino with a little bit of nylon in it. But you guys have some other beautiful bases. I also love your provenance with that little bit of silk in there. It's got that sheen and drape. And I really love saturated colors, and that just makes everything pop.
Oh, definitely. And that's provenance is 50% superwash merino, 50% silk. And no matter what color you put on it, it shines. It has that beautiful shine, and the feel of that yarn is amazing.
So
go ahead.
What's your favorite base?
I have 3. I actually don't just have one. It's the Provenance, the Treme, and our newest base, French Market sock, is one of my new favorites. It is so soft and so just, it's luxurious against your skin. It is 60% superwash merino, 20% alpaca, and 20% nylon. It makes for a great sock yarn. It has the stretch, the softness. It's one of those that you put the socks on and you don't want to take them off.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's become one of my favorites.
And you have some other weights as well, right? And you mentioned a number of fingering weight bases, right? But what else do you have?
We have our Highland Lace, which is our lace weight. It comes at 931 yards. And that's Joshua's favorite. And it really is a beautiful lace weight yarn. It is perfect for lace knitters that love to knit shawls. In fact, I knit a shawl, let's see, I finished it week before last, and it took up the entire ball, and I ended just perfectly. I played yarn chicken with it. Yeah, it was touch and go there for a second. I was sweating it. Then we have our fingering weights. We have our Highland fingering, which is 100% superwash merino. The Provenance fingering, which is the 50-50 silk superwash merino. French market sock. Our Treme sock, which is 80-20 superwash merino nylon. And then we have our, let's see, Highland Shimmer fingering, which is the superwash merino and tencel. Not tencel, I'm sorry, Lurex. And it is a beautiful little shine. It's great for holiday yarns. It's great for sweaters that you want to take out. It's great for shawls. It has that little sparkle added to it. It's not scratchy at all like some Stellina is. That's one of the things when you come with a shimmer part of a yarn, it can be scratchy sometimes. This one, it costs a little more, but it's soft. You can't even really feel it. If you rub it against your skin, you can't tell the difference. So then we have our DKs. We have our Highland DK, which is 100% superwash merino. And then we have our Treme Shimmer DK, which is superwash merino, Stellina, and I think that's it. Nylon, I'm sorry. And it was funny, I totally messed up. For some reason, whenever I ordered my Treme Shimmer DK, the very first order, I accidentally ordered non-superwash merino, silk, and nylon. And I found it the very first time I got an order for it, and I was like, oh my God, this is the wrong yarn. So luckily we have our supplier is a great company to work with, and they switched it out for us. So now we have it back in stock, thank goodness. And I dyed on it the first time about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Makes a beautiful yarn. The one thing about your shimmer yarns, deeper colors will attach to the shimmer, be it Lurex or Stellina, and actually color it down, tone it down some. It's not as shiny, but it still is shiny somewhat, especially if you have a variegated, has some lighter colors. It shows up there. So then we have our worsted, 100% superwash merino. It's called Highland worsted. Then we have Highland Bulky. We just added Highland Bulky over the winter, and it's a very, very lofty yarn. It's very pretty. It's nice to work with, and it's very nice to dye with. It picks up the colors and just, it shines. It really does.
I think bulky yarns seem to be coming back for some of those cozy winter kind of quicker knits.
Definitely.
I've seen a lot of ponchos and things in the bulky.
Oh yeah, most definitely. The bulky, of course, doesn't sell that well down south, but we have customers all over. So we have customers in Maine, California, all over the place, Oregon. It's just, we try to carry the bases that our customers want. That's the main reason we purchase the yarns we do. And also the yarn that we get is, let's see, they work with mills in Peru and then somewhere else. No, they're all in Peru, but they are very ethical. They're ethically sourced. Their sheep are not harmed. They're sheared, not all the way down to the skin, of course, which is good for the sheep. We do not want a supplier that is going to harm the animals or the alpacas, things like that, because that's important to us. We have our I guess, our base, what we believe, and we want our yarn to reflect that. So the name of our yarns, so we have Highland, Provenance, and Treme, and now we have French Market. The Highland and Provenance are both names of communities in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is where we're based out of. Highland is the neighborhood we live in. Provenance is a more upscale, and it's a gated community. So it's going to be the very luxurious yarns, the more upscale. The Treme and French Market are both New Orleans neighborhoods. That's where I moved to Shreveport, excuse me. Treme is one of the neighborhoods where that's real close to the French Market, down in the French Quarter. So it has a lot of your soul, your jazz clubs, things like that. Of course, the French Market is down in the French Quarter. So that's where we get our names for the different bases from. The Treme, all of the Treme has nylon. All of our sock yarn that has nylon is in the Treme or either the French Market. The French Market is because of the alpaca. So if we have a different animal fiber, it's going to have a new name. So that's how you determine on our site where the different names come from.
Thank you. You know, I love that you're bringing this really regional, really kind of local flavor to your yarns. I love that the names really convey that. And I recognized the New Orleans names, but I didn't know about Provenance and Highland and where those came from. It seems like you guys are really expanding your reach through the last year or more through COVID. You guys have kind of exploded onto the scene from being these little, really local suppliers to you're not only doing national shows, but you guys have some distribution in some different yarn stores and things now, don't you?
Definitely. We are now in a yarn store in Dallas. It's actually in Bedford, but it's a little suburb of Dallas, called Lone Star Yarns. And we started in that, I believe, in January. They are carrying, let's see, our worsted, our Treme, and our French Market sock. And that was developed in partnership with Lone Star. They wanted an alpaca blend to go with some yarn that they already had in their store. So we provided that. And we are actually going to be there in September for a trunk show, which is part of the Dallas Yarn Crawl.
Oh, great. That's awesome. And of course, if those of us who aren't in Dallas, of course, can always get your yarns through your website.
Most definitely.
And I've shared that link in the chat a couple of times so people can find you there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're right. When we did the Fiber World and we started collaborating with you, Erin at Morehouse, Lakeisha, that was one of our first collaborations with another, let's see, designer, another dyer, things like that. And we really, really enjoyed it. It made our Fiber World experience so good. It made us wanted to come back and just have it again and again. It really did. And in addition to that, as I'm sure you're going to say, when we were talking about your yarn, we actually didn't even tell the name of it. It's Devious Mermaid, from the Devious knitter, and it looks like a mermaid. So that's how we decided on the name. It was either that or let's see, what was the other one?
There were a couple, yeah.
Were a couple. I can't even remember the other ones.
Yeah, Devious Mermaid was so perfect.
It was, but that in itself is one of the things that we like to do. Is when we're working with you on that yarn, when we created it, Amy is going to be working on a pattern to go with that yarn.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you said we're hopefully going to have it out by Fiber World, maybe?
Yeah, I'm hoping to debut it at Fiber World. So maybe we'll have some kind of little virtual Zoom thing where we can show it and kind of give it a launch. I have this, and I have a neutral base, and I'm going to do a Mosaic Shawl that I'm really excited about. So it'll be a nice summertime project, and I'm excited to wind this up now that I've shown it off, and we can get started on that.
Definitely. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we're going to do some other fun things at Fiber World too, right? We're going to have our Saturday night pajama party again. I talked to them and they said we could have a lounge for that. So, and we're going to get a couple other vendor friends to help us put that on. This is not a commercial for Fiber World. I love that show. And I really love that they let the teachers and the vendors like have a lounge and throw a party and invite all the attendees. I think it's just great.
Definitely. And when they designed Fiber World, when they first started up, it was something that we wanted to be a part of because it's very open to big and small vendors. It was, when we started with them, we were a small vendor at the time. We had not, grown very much. That in itself exploded us. I mean, we were known all over the place, internationally even.
It was important that we value the viewpoints of.
And I'm really excited to that we're going to get to see some of your work, and you're going to be presenting there and things like that. I want to jump back in the conversation to where you were talking about your lace knitting and how you just played yarn chicken with your lace knitting. It doesn't surprise me that you won because you are a consummate lace knitter.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I absolutely love to knit is lace. Joshua and I both actually. Hold on just 1 second. Let me get his current project. Where's it at?
Well, I'm glad you have this along with you so you can show it to us.
Yep, here it is. This is a needling pattern. Herbert needling. And this is our lilac colorway.
Beautiful.
And of course, this is Joshua's shawl. So it is a big shawl.
and that is not simple lace.
Let's see if I can get. If you have ever wanted to knit lace, there is one that you should go look at, a pattern called Piffingstrose. Let's see, peony is also, it's Piffingstrose/peony. That was one of our patterns that we fell in love with. It was created based on a Herbert needling pattern. Joshua and I both had knit that pattern, oh my gosh, 6 or 7 times. when we go to markets, we actually sell the projects that we have knit. If it's not a commissioned item, we're knitting it to sell in a market. And we do about 6 markets a year. Over the last year, that number has gone down, quite a bit because of the pandemic, but we started back now. We're very excited to be doing this. It is not just a hobby for me. We've made our hobby into a business, and we love it. That is one of them.
I love the notion of this night market. I'm really intrigued. That sounds like a really fun event with this mix of, you said, food and different arts and crafts, and it's not just fiber, but how do people respond to you if you get, non-yarnies that are just walking through the market? What's that like?
Number one, they're very excited and shocked to see 2 guys. That is their first takeaway, is two guys doing it. Oh my gosh. And what people don't realize, knitting actually started out with it being mostly men. And then it was taught, it opened up. So men did it and sort of tried to keep it all for themselves. Yeah, that's not going to work. Do what, Josh? The guilds were actually only open to men. And that, when they opened that up and started teaching whoever wanted to knit, that was important. That to us is one of the other reasons we are so in love with Fiber World. Their values mirror ours. And with Joshua and I, so we also have the Shreveport Fiber Fanatics. It's a local knitting group that we started in Shreveport, and it's open to anyone. If you go on Facebook, you actually don't even have to be a local knitter or a crocheter or weaver. You can actually join, and we share patterns on there. We share thoughts, ideas, help each other out. If somebody has a problem, we help them with it. And we also have we started a weekly meetup at Whole Foods here. And we've had to put it on pause because of the pandemic, but we're hoping to start that back up this summer at some point, once a lot of people are vaccinated and it's gotten under control. But we also teach free knitting lessons. We do not charge for our knitting lessons, and we teach anybody from 10 years of age and up. I have taught a 70-year-old woman how to knit. I've taught a 10-year-old child how to knit. And I've also taught an ADHD teenager how to knit, and it helped with her focus. It helped with her schoolwork. Everything tied around that knitting, it improved, because when you focus on knitting, you're tuning out the rest of the world, and it teaches you how to do that. If I'm knitting, I can talk at the same time and knit and have a full blown on conversation and knit a lace shawl. It helps me focus. You're right, Haley, it is very zen. It is my calm away from the storm. It really is. If I don't knit, I get anxious. And that was one of the things when I taught the teenager. Her mother said she is amazed that she's able to sit and learn how to knit. And she's doing it now. And she's now, let's see, she was about 15 at the time. I think she's like 19 now. And she has completed college. So anxiety, it really is a lifesaver. We had friends that were just severely depressed, and they started knitting, and brought them out of the hole. They do it every day. And it's something that they look forward to.
It's no wonder you hear so many stories of people who've been knitting through their way through COVID, through the isolation and the depression, and people who've been reaching out and finding community through knitting and finding that soothing rhythmic action that they really connect to.
Definitely. Most definitely. It is something that we love.
I remember when my son was in second grade, his teacher asked for some help, and I sent her a bunch of my old bits and bobs of yarn. She taught the whole class. She's a knitter. She taught the whole class to finger knit, a bunch of 7-year-olds. And there was a lot of high energy kids in that class. And whenever she wanted them to really focus in and pay attention to her, she'd say, take out your yarn. And they would just, you could finger knit mindlessly, and the rhythm of it, it just helped the kids focus so much. And the kids loved it. And by the end of it, there was just giant balls and balls of I-cord that these kids had finger knit all year long, but they had a great time, and it helped them all so much.
That is awesome. We are hoping to get back with our group this year. We have also started a knitting group at a nursing home here in Shreveport as well. We also take donations of yarn from knitters who are destashing, and we provide them to people who cannot afford to buy yarns to knit or crochet or weave. It is, and we have a lot of great people around. We have one lady that, oh my gosh, she brought us about 15 huge lawn-sized bags, like leaf bags of yarn that she had that she wasn't going to use, or odds and ends. And one lady takes this, and she's so appreciative of it. Number one, it gives her something to do. She's disabled and lives alone. And what she does is she crochets it usually into blankets, hats, and then she donates it back to give to the homeless in Shreveport.
That's wonderful.
It is.
I think you put me in touch with someone who did a test knit for one of my patterns last fall, Fizzy Drinks. And I suspected that he might have been one of the folks that you connect with through the nursing home. And, I had so much fun with him on board for that test knit.
Yes, most definitely. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. He is awesome. In fact, he is looking forward to doing that some more.
Yeah, that was a great experience. And again, it just, the connections that get forged from having this love of knitting in common are just tremendous.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So what's next for you guys?
The East Texas Fiberfest is one of the things that's next. We are preparing, we're buying stock, we're buying the display grid, slat wall, things like that to take to markets. We are looking at East Texas to be our first in-person, but we are also excited where we're going to be able to do it other in-person markets after that. We are hoping after East Texas, maybe DFW. And of course, we are actually doing the online International Fiberfest coming very soon. And Anne Frost is on, and she is the creator of OIFF. It's awesome, y'all. She does different sections or regions of the world, and this coming Fiberfest is going to be including us, but I won't tell you the rest unless Anne won't. So be looking for that, and Anne posted the link for it. Anne, if you will, help me out here. I know it's the American South.
And you can go ahead and unmute. We'd love to. I'd love to hear a little plug and some details from the OIFF. Because I know Anne. Anne's awesome. Anne and I are coordinating together. We're collaborating together on the Woolwide Adventures that we're currently hosting on Instagram. And she mentioned to me just earlier today that you guys were going to be part of the Online International Fiberfest.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
That. Yeah, we're going to 8 different regions. Every festival, we visit 8 regions from our home Wi-Fi. This time we are doing the American South. As Duane mentioned, we'll also be doing the Atlantic provinces of Canada, Norway, Poland, Cornwall, Italy, Bulgaria, and Morocco. So I did put the website there in the chat. If you want to look, you can see the November festival is still there. And then hopefully by next Friday, you'll be able to start getting ready for the festival coming up on May 1st.
Yeah. And that is a free virtual 1 week long festival that has happened twice in the past, and it'll be the 3rd time coming up May 1st to the 8th. And so you can go on, and Anne's got links on that website to different knitting traditions and videos from the different parts of the world. And there are recipes. And then she's got links to you can go to another site. You can go to Craftsy to see, to actually take a class and things like that. But, and then she's got vendors that are there that are taking part, which is so exciting.
Yes, Liz, we are very excited. And we actually found out about the Online International Fiberfest the very first time she had it. And we told her, we're very interested in this. And we started watching, and we looked at the last one, and we took part in some of it. So we're very excited about it. I guess the next coming up after that is more of the night markets that we have, and we are also to the American Rose Center's Christmas market. American Rose Center is based in Shreveport, Louisiana, and it's all of the different rose societies all over the U.S. and some international as well are part of it, but it's mainly the American. So they have a humongous acres. I can't even remember how many acres it is, but it's several of rose gardens. And every Christmas they have a holiday light. It's Christmas in Roseland. So they have trails that are just lit up with lights. They have different music with the lights and different vendors. Let's see, they had about 35 or 40 vendors. And we've done that for 2 years now, and this will be the 3rd this year. They were supposed to have an Easter market. We were not able to take part in that because we had something conflicting with it. So, but we're very excited about what's coming up. So, Amy, what do you have coming up next?
Oh my gosh, so much. Tomorrow I'm teaching 3 classes here from my office on Zoom. I don't go any place, but I go everywhere.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm actually excited. I'm going to get to do a lecture actually that I did at Fiber World for the first time. That's called How to Identify a Pattern That's Good for You, where we're talking about sort of things to look for in the pattern that are good and helpful, and things that are maybe things to watch out for, and then how to choose the right size, how to look for any adjustments you need to make, and how to do yarn substitution or yarn choices. So that's a really fun lecture to give. And then I'm going to be teaching 2-color brioche. I have my sample that I work on. We do 2-color brioche in the round. This is how I like to teach absolute beginner intro brioche, because you guys probably already know, because I'm sure you know all the knitting. Just brioche is actually easier in the round, and with 2 colors, it's so much easier to keep track of and to know what you have to do next. So I teach this, and we make a little cowl. And then in the later afternoon, I'm going to teach my Secrets of Splicing class, where we go through like a dozen or more different ways to join yarn and weave it in, and all different kinds of. We'll see how many we get through. There are actually 19 different ways I know of to join new yarn when I sat down and counted them up. And I have this swatch with all of them on it, and they're all marked.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we're going to do that. And then I have, as I mentioned before, I'm one of the hosts of the Wool Wide Adventures, which is an online experience happening on Instagram, where we have prompts for adventures every week and little mini treks you can do in the fiber world to just go out and kind of learn new things, or get exposed to new experiences, and share them via Instagram. And we'll be having a wrap-up party for that on April 30th. That's another Friday evening / afternoon, depending on where you are. So I'd love to have everybody join us for that. If you follow the Wool Wide Adventures on Instagram, it's at Wool Wide Adventures. You'll see the details when we start posting for that, because I think that's going to be a fun event. And we're going to draw our prizes. We have prizes for the end of the whole end of the 2-month long experience. And that's been a lot of fun doing that together with Anne Frost and Erin Piro at Morehouse Farm Merino, and also Irene Wagner, who is the author of Keepers of the Sheep. So that's been a really fun thing. And then I have a bunch more classes coming up. I've been hosting a lot of classes just through my website, deviousniknitter.com. And so I've got a bunch coming up in April, May, and June, all kinds of different topics. We're going to do some more advanced brioche with increases and decreases. I'm going to do short rows. We're going to do one on Latvian braid and other Eastern braids, and some other interesting color work tricks. Yeah, so that's what's coming up for me. And I'm going to be back at VKL, VogNet Live this month. I'm going to be doing one of their market extras. I'm going to be teaching a little 1-hour class on different cast-ons. It's a more beginner level kind of class, but it runs the gamut.
Sure. That is actually another Fiberfest that we have done, is the Bow Knitting Live. I believe it was, oh gosh, this has been a year. I can't keep track of but after Wool Wide Adventures, the next day is when OIFF kicks off.
Yes, and that's not a coincidence. And actually, during that week of the Online International Fiber Festival, Anne Frost is going to be my guest here next month on Wouldn't It Be Fun? She's going to be here on Friday, May 7th, and she'll be here. She'll talk about the Fiber Festival and all the other great stuff that she's up to. So I'm really excited that I'm going to get to have her here. And it all kind of lines up really, really nicely there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That is one thing with all of what we've done over the past year. The pandemic has actually given us so many things. Although it's taken away a lot, it has given us so much. We've met Anne, you, Erin, Lakeisha. We have collaborated with all of these different instructors, vendors, people who are promoters. We actually have 2 designers that we have all of their patterns available on our website now. One is Knitwise Design, Linda Courtney. She designs everything from vests to jackets to a shawl, hats, socks, you name it. She probably has a pattern for it. And then we have patterns from the George. If you are on Instagram, it's la.georg. Is that it? Yes, that's it. And she is also a Fiber World instructor, I think. Organizer or instructor, I believe. So all of the different Fiberfests that we've taken part in online has been an eye-opener, and it's just blessed us with so many different things. Meeting you and Erin, we really have gained a lot this year. So no matter how bleak it looked, we still have taken a lot with us.
Thank you guys so much. I really just love that we got to talk today and got to share with folks that know me more about you guys, because I just absolutely love the job that you're doing and the colors, the beautiful yarn that you're bringing out into the world. And I love that we got to sit and have a conversation, because I enjoy you guys so much. And have really just enjoyed that, and have loved that you guys have shared things with me. I found out about a festival through you last fall that I got to participate in, the Texas Fleece and Fiberfest, and these connections are just so valuable and lovely. And I'm so appreciative of your time, and I want to invite you to hang around if you like. We'll wrap our interview, and then I usually share a couple of little knitting tips and techniques. And then after that, we just kind of open it up and have fun conversation and party. So if you want to hang around, we'd love you to hang around. And if you can't, I am grateful for the time that you've spent with us so far.
Definitely. I am not going to be able to. We're about to go see my mom. So it's been wonderful. Thank you so much for having us, Amy.
Thank you, Duane, and we hope that Josh is feeling better soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming and for being here today. I got some great requests in the registration forms, looking for different tips or tricks or things that you would like to know about. So I thought I would respond to that. We did have somebody asking about brioche, and absolutely, I have a brioche class on the schedule for tomorrow, and another one. So that's my intro brioche in the round tomorrow. And then I have another one on the schedule for May 8th. We're going to do increases and decreases, and I'll be teaching those two classes again at Fiber World this summer. So if which is really great. So you lots of opportunity to learn brioche, which is super fun. We also had somebody asking about carrying floats over more than 3 or 4 stitches, which is a great topic. I am going to actually be teaching something called ladderback jacquard on May 8th, which is it's a technique for carrying your floats in stranded knitting across. Sorry, I'm going to dive down and get some stranded knitting because it feels weird to not have some in my hand, right? But so here's some stranded knitting you can look at while this isn't ladderback. This actually has very, very short floats, as you can see. But I always, people like to look at the backs of the knitting, right? Ladderback jacquard is actually a fantastic technique for carrying stitches, for carrying floats across many, many, many stitches. You can actually use that to bring colors across almost an unlimited amount of knitting. So you could do stranded knitting that almost has the look of intarsia, where you have small sections of a color and then a long run without it. So I'm really excited to teach that technique. No, it does not snag. The point of the whole thing is to create fabric where the floats don't snag, where they're tamed and under control. So it's a great technique. It's also something that can help for if you have tension problems over those longer floats. So yeah, I'm excited. We've had a couple of people ask for that class, so I put it on the schedule. And somebody else was asking about joining in the round. So I want to share with you guys a little trick I have for when I am finishing some projects that are in the round. I'm going to switch to my other camera so you can have a look at what I'm going to demonstrate. So when we have our projects that are knit in the round, of course, knitting in the round isn't actually knitting in a circle. You're actually knitting a spiral that goes up. Now it's exaggerated here because the pattern is also sort of looking like a spiral. But if this were all one color, you would still see that the end of our round here, let's much higher than the beginning of our round. It's a whole row higher. By the time we get back to the beginning of the row, we've worked all the way around and we've come one row higher. And when we get to binding off, this can create, well, some messiness, because if I bind this off like I'm typically used to, you're just going to see this big gap. And this is all one row. It looks like almost two rows. It is only one. So I have something I like to do to address this, and I'm going to show it to you. Now, the first thing that I like to do when I'm finishing up the row, this is my final stitch of the bind off. And you were probably taught when you learned to knit that in the final stitch of the bind off, you should basically make another stitch and draw it through. Well, what I've just done is I've created a lot of extra yarn here at the end, and it's very common that this last stitch is already distorted and we wind up with too much yarn and it doesn't lie flat and it doesn't look good. So putting another whole stitch in there before I sew it down, you probably learned pull that through and then sew that end in. That extra stitch is not doing me any good at all. So what I actually do recommend and teach is that when we get to this very last stitch, and this one is a stitch here, that instead of drawing the yarn through, I snip the yarn and I actually pull it all the way out. So I've actually got one less stitch than I started with. And especially in flat knitting, this solves some issues with wonky or pulled out of, with edges that are sort of pulled out of alignment and they get too messy and too big over here. So first I do that. And that's sort of an independent trick from the next thing I'm going to show you. You can do both in conjunction with each other, but just that much is going to help your end bind offs when you're knitting flat too. So when I'm finishing up in the round, what I want to do here with this end is I'm going to follow, the yarn is coming out of the middle of this stitch, and I'm going to bring it over, and I'm actually going to duplicate stitch over this whole first stitch here. It's the first whole stitch that's lying on its side. It's coming up out of the first row, this first column here in my cast on. And again, I'm going to go over the whole stitch, not just here, but all the way over here. So I'm going to bring the yarn, I'm going to follow where the old yarn goes, which is it goes behind the legs of this next stitch. So I'm going to bring the needle under the legs of that next stitch. And then I'm going to go right back where I came from. I'm going to look for what stitch this yarn came out of. Go back in there. And now when I pull that snug, this is what I get. That evens up the edge there in the round just beautifully. And I do this at the tops of socks. I do at the top of anything that's, or bottom, the edge of anything that's knit in the round. When you do this, it becomes hard to find where you actually finished your round. And I'll tell you, be sure that it's done before you sew in your ends, because I've had to do that once or twice. And boy, hiding it like that and then weaving in the ends and being done with them, I mentioned I'm teaching secrets of splicing, which also includes weaving in your ends. And I weave my ends in really, really well and securely, and they're pretty hidden. And I had some socks where I wanted to change the tops of them, and it was really, really hard to find that stuff. Eventually I did. It was fine. But, and if all else fails, you can just cut it off. I've done that. I have done that. I have woven something in so very securely and needed to redo the edge, and well, I can just snip it right off and pull out the bits of yarn and, re-knit a couple of rows. I've got a question here from Jen. She wants to know my favorite super stretchy bind off that doesn't flare out. Fabulous question, Jen. That is one that I teach several in my socks workshops, which unfortunately I don't have any on the schedule currently because I just finished up with one. But my favorite stretchy bind off that doesn't flare out is actually the Elizabeth Zimmerman Sewn Bind Off, and that's what I used here. I do teach and know the Jenny's super stretchy bind off. The Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. I find that for me, that one is sometimes actually too loose, and it can flare out in and again, that's very personal to your knitting style. When I use that one, I need to pull it a little bit snugly in order to make sure that it doesn't, it can flare unattractively. So this is the one I really love. It is a sewn bind off, so it's not super awesome for sweaters or things where you have a mile long bind off, because you have to actually cut the yarn and sew it in, but it's beautifully stretchy, and it gives a really nice edge. Very nice there. And I think I have a video demo of that on my YouTube channel. So if you want to see that done, you can have a look there. Awesome. So I want to open it up, and I'm gonna say my standard goodbye for YouTube, so we can clip the video there, and then I'll open it up, and you guys can all unmute and come on, and we can just have conversation and hang out. So I'll just say that thank you for everybody who joined us on Wouldn't It Be Fun tonight, especially to Duane and Josh of the Louisiana Yarn Guys. I'm Amy Snell, and I'm here on YouTube Live the first Friday of every month at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. If you'd like to be part of the live audience next month, you can sign up in advance at deviousnittercom/wouldn'titbefun. And you can also find me on Instagram and Twitter as @deviousknitter, or teaching at a festival near you. You can check my website, deviousknitter.com, for upcoming classes. And if you liked the Knitcast, please give us a thumbs up or hit subscribe. Happy knitting!